This meeting is now called to order at 5:36 p.m. And Madam Secretary, can you please call roll?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Chairperson David Heredia.
Yes, I will be joining remotely due to just cause circumstances under AB 2449 due to contagious illness that prevents me from attending in person today.
Thank you. Commissioner Hugo Alvarado. Commissioner Carlos Jose Barrera.
Present.
Commissioner Jason Gavilanes.
Present.
Commissioner Raul Velasco.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Iniguez, can you please lead us in the invocation?
Yes, Mr. Chair, please bow your heads in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we are thankful for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We are grateful for the citizens who are interested in our city and who bring matters concerning traffic and safety to the attention of the commissioners. We ask that you be with the commissioners as they deliberate these matters and make their decisions. Thank you. Amen.
Thank you. And Commissioner Velasco, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And Madam Secretary, was the agenda posted according to state law?
It was posted according to law.
Okay, thank you. And this is the time given to the public to speak on agenda and non-agenda items. And were any comments received?
No comments were received, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I need a motion from a commissioner on approving the minutes of May 7, 2024.
I'll first a motion.
Okay, and I need a second.
A second motion.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, can you please take roll call vote?
Currently, Mr. Chair David Heredia.
Yes.
Commissioner Jason Gavilanes.
Yes.
And Commissioner Carlos Jose Barrera.
Yes.
And Commissioner Alvarado and Velasco were both absent at that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to the next item on our agenda, traffic safety analysis. And Mr. Iniguez, can you please give the report?
Yes, Chair. Item number 2, pardon me, Secretary, the roll for minutes already approved. Okay. Item number 2 is regarding a request for a disabled person parking space fronting 5942 Priory Street. It is staff's recommendation that the Traffic and Safety Commission approve for City Council consideration the installation of a designated disabled person parking space fronting 5942 Priory Street. I'll go ahead and turn it over to Doug, our city engineer, for the full report. Doug?
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. We received a request from a resident requesting a disabled parking space for the caretaker of the resident at 5942 Priory Street. The city has a policy in order to evaluate these requests for providing that on the city streets, and Exhibit 1 shows the general location. But we took a look at the site in the field, and we also looked at all the documentation the applicant provided. And the property only has assigned space for one tenant per the rental arrangement. It's a multi-tenant property. Generally, Priory Street is a local residential street with a prima facie speed limit of 25 miles an hour. The street has single-family homes with a majority of multifamily dwellings on the street. The residence was requesting because she does not have a space on property to park, but she does have the required placard and the registration of the vehicle accordingly. But also, staff is recommending, based on analysis, staff is recommending the placement of a blue curb into property. But the only caveat to that is that anybody with a blue placard can park there. And I'll entertain any questions.
Yeah, I have a question. Do we currently keep track of how many blue curb parking spots we have in the city?
Yeah, there's a log.
Yeah. Is there a certain number that per year that we are able to have, or is it just as the applications come in, we look at it?
It's all for compliance with the policy. Some we've brought forward in front of the commission that we've denied because there's been adequate space on site.
Mhm.
And so forth, but it all depends if they comply with the policy that was adopted by council. And provide all in the site function works, we'll recommend the installation of the space in the sign.
Thank you.
And just for further clarification, there is no limit. Now, when the city council approves, we go ahead and amend our resolution. So there is a resolution that contains all of the parking restrictions within the city, whether it be red curb, blue curb, and that allows the city to go ahead and enforce those restrictions.
And out of curiosity, if when the blue curve gets approved and that resident moves, does that blue curve get removed or how would that work?
Typically, there is no follow-up tracking on an annual basis per se. Usually when it comes time to because paint typically lasts 1 year. Just because of the way they've reduced the volatile organic compounds in paint. So we have to, it becomes part of our maintenance schedule. But if we know something's not parking there, we'll make an inquiry and follow up accordingly, but there's no actual action, but we do make an effort.
And then just to expand on that, even though there is no formal procedure, because it's technically a parking restriction that's adopted by council, anybody that's disabled with a placard can park there. But informally, staff every 2 years does assess whether or not there's been a turnover in the occupancy, because it might be a property owner, it might be a tenant. But again, it's not required, but we do that as a good practice to determine whether or not that restriction is still necessitated. We do need parking citywide in this community, and for that reason, we take on that extra. Not required, but good practice of assessing and determining whether or not the special restriction is still required.
Okay, if there's no other comments or questions on this agenda item, I need a motion from the commission to approve the blue disabled parking curb.
I'll go ahead and first the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. And Madam Secretary, can you take roll call vote, please?
Certainly. Chairperson Heredia,
Yes.
Commissioner Alvarado,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavilanes,
Yes.
and Commissioner Velasco.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good. Chairperson, before we move to the next item, so I understand the city clerk is indicating that your audio is not coming through on the broadcast. Can you just confirm that there is nobody under the age of 18 present in the room that you're in at the moment?
I can confirm that.
Thank you. It's been confirmed. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we're going to go on to the next item, and Mr. Niguez, can you give the report, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Item number 3 is regarding a request for temporary tollway no parking zone from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 7945 Scout Avenue to facilitate construction activities at John Anson Ford Park. This is regarding the aquatic center construction that is ongoing. It is staff's recommendation that the Traffic and Safety Commission approve for City Council consideration the installation of a temporary tollway no parking zone at 7945 Scout Avenue to facilitate construction activities at John Anson Ford Park. Doug, please present the report.
No problem. We have found as construction is beginning at the Ford Park pool, there's appears to be an issue of the heavy trucks exiting the site where they have the construction gate and getting onto Scout Avenue. Took a look at it, and just want to temporarily install a temporary no parking tollway zone from 6 AM to 6 PM to allow the trucks access out, but allow parking at the end of the day. And then ultimately, when the construction is complete and then pool is open to the public, we'll take the tollway zone down off or remove it with another action. It's basically 105 feet. This is the corner house on the first house northeasterly along Scout Avenue from Gotham is where the signs will be posted. From that standpoint, this is just to facilitate trucks in and out of because Scout's a very narrow street, the large trucks in and out of the construction site. And I'll entertain any questions.
Honestly, I think it's a great idea. I saw them when they were really starting all the construction they're talking about. So I took a really good look at it and I'm looking at it right now. And I think it's a good idea. I'm guessing these signs are just temporary, right? Then yeah, it's wonderful. It's a great idea. A good idea is a good idea. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. That's my opinion on it.
Quick question too. So construction is currently anticipated to end by fall 2025. If it goes over that, would the signs stay up?
Since we don't put our recommendation does not include a termination date, basically is when construction ends.
Okay,
Or to where it gets to a point where we could take them, we could take them down.
got it. Thank you.
I just had a quick question about the parking as far as, it looks like there might be one residence that faces Scout that might lose a parking or two. I was just wondering about how many parking spots would be temporarily lost for that period of time.
It's based primarily 3 to 4 spaces. But it's only from 6 AM to 6 PM that there'll be no parking allowed. But in the evening and you just gotta be out of there by 6 o'clock in the morning.
Got it. Okay. If there aren't any other questions or comments, then I need a motion from the commission to go ahead and approve the temporary tollway no parking zone from 6 AM to 6 PM.
I'm actually gonna add a question. Will we give residents a heads up?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and provide notice, if consented by the commission, the council meeting will be scheduled for July 22nd, so there will be ample time to give notice. And I apologize, Mr. Chair, before you deliberate, I said it backwards, so just to confirm, there is nobody over the age of 18 present in your room, correct? Is that an affirmative, sir?
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, just need a motion from a commissioner to go ahead and approve staff's recommendation.
First the motion.
And a second.
I'll second.
Okay, and Madam Secretary, can you please take roll call vote?
Certainly. Mr. Chair Heredia,
Yes.
Commissioner Alvarado,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavilanes,
Yes.
Commissioner Velasco.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe there's one more item on the agenda. Mr. Iniguez, can you
Sure.
please give the report? Thank you.
My pleasure. Item number 4 is regarding a request for speed limit signage on Darwell Avenue from Lubeck Street to Loveland Street. It is staff's recommendation that the Traffic and Safety Commission receive and file the report that the city engineer will go ahead and give. So Doug, if you will.
Yeah, thank you. We received a request from a resident on Darwell between Lubick and Loveland to install speed limit signs on that portion of Darwell. in order to, in a couple, this is also coupled with, he is also going to be presenting in August a request for speed humps on that section of roadway. So you provided, yeah, you gave us 2 requests. This is the first one that we're dealing with tonight. When we establish speed limits or want to post speed limits, ultimately for enforcement by the police department, we have to follow the rules and regulations from the Manual and Uniform Traffic Control Devices and the California Vehicle Code. And they are very specific. When you establish speed limits, you have to do an engineering and speed survey, which the city does usually on a 5-year period, but the California legislature through the Vehicle Code has extended those to about a 10-year time frame and so forth, where you would go out and survey. I think Bell Gardens has got about 25 to 35 street segments that we survey that are typically 35 miles or greater for radar enforcement. And basically the survey does is in an unmarked car with someone with a radar gun, or even they have post-mounted equipment through video cameras. They will count 100 cars through the course of a day. And they'll run the statistics on what speed each of the cars did. And where 85% of the highest speed, 85% of the cars go is typically the level that you set the speed limit at. And about 15% will exceed that just by human nature of being knuckleheads, for lack of a better word. So if you do, and since Darwell is a local residential street with a prima facie speed limit, there is a great potential that a speed survey would require a posting of a higher speed limit, which would impact the neighborhood. So city engineers and city traffic engineers policy is to, if it's a local residential street, we do not survey them. Just because of the unintended consequences of actually doing a physical speed survey to put the signs up there. The California Vehicle Code clearly states that it's a residential street, it's 25 miles an hour. And the PD can do their enforcement accordingly from that standpoint. So it's our recommendation that we just receive and file this and inform the owner or the resident who requested this, the copy of this report. And if he's got questions, he can give me a call and we can discuss over the phone. So I'll entertain any other questions.
Yes, so right here it says that we were gonna place the city's speed trailer. So what exactly does the speed trailer do?
It's to provide awareness to the drivers if they're going over 25 miles an hour,
Okay,
or they're checking their speedometers, or they want to see how fast they can go in that short section of street.
okay.
There are knuckleheads out there.
Yeah, that speed trailer is a deterrent for speeding, obviously. You'll know when you see it. So once folks see that, they tend to slow down. And hopefully it's a teaching moment for anybody that may be driving over the prima facie speed limit of 25 miles an hour.
Okay, do we have any other questions or comments for Darwell Avenue? Okay, if not, it looks like we'll be kind of touching on this again in August, possibly to go over the speed hump analysis. Okay, if there aren't any other questions or comments on this one, then I need a motion from the commission to go ahead and approve staff's current recommendation to file.
I'll first the motion.
Okay, and I need a second.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, and Madam Secretary, can you please take roll call vote?
Certainly. Mr. Chair Heredia,
Yes.
Commissioner Alvarado,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrera,
Yes,
Commissioner Gavilanes,
Yes.
and Commissioner Velasco.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And do we have any comments from staff?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to inform the commission that staff continues to work with our grant consultant on the preparation of a request for proposals to update the city's complete streets plan. And we are also working with infrastructure engineers and Caltrans on the design for the complete streets improvements, ATP Cycle 5. That is a grant that the city received. And we're looking forward to expediting that process to see some real improvements out in the street. That concludes staff comments.
Thank you for that. And do we have any comments from commissioners?
It's very nice to see everybody. I hope everybody has a wonderful summer and enjoy yourselves.
Thank you, Jason. And yeah, now we have a big holiday coming up, and we had some great events at the park, at the skate park this past weekend as well, which were great. There aren't any other further comments or questions, then we can go ahead and adjourn to the next scheduled meeting. Looking at the dates right now, I believe that would be August 6th. And if there aren't any other comments, then this meeting is now closed at 5:58 p.m. And thank you, everybody.